Do you have an area of your life that feels heavy? Maybe you feel stuck. Maybe you are resisting something. It's been shown that sometimes the things that we resist are the very things that we need to step into. If they're good things, of course. And sometimes that feeling of feeling stuck, we kind of keep ourselves stuck because it's safe. It means we don't have to step out. We don't have to make a decision. We can just live in the indecision. But that is a decision. And whatever it is that we might be avoiding could be the very thing that we need, the very step we need to take, the very thing God might be trying to grow us into. So sometimes what we have to realize is the awareness around these emotions could be the key to helping us step forward. I like to tell my clients to just look at whatever the situation is as if it's sitting in the palm of your hand. What do you see? What do you recognize? Is there something that you could do different that could change the circumstance? Is there something that, although it may never change, you could change your perspective on? You could start seeing it through a different lens. It's possible. You can always be curious about that, just in case the circumstance never changes. We get to show up how we want to show up, even into those difficult circumstances. Even if we're the newbie, even if all of these feelings kind of feel new to us, and we're not really sure how to process them or how to release them. But whatever it is that's causing you to feel stuck or that feels heavy, I want to encourage you to consider being curious about it, asking yourself questions. Yeah, even some of the hard questions, like, what is it that I'm afraid of happening if I make this decision? Or what would happen if I take this next step? Because clarity actually comes after the decision. We can sit and wait, and that's a good thing to do many times. But if we feel like we've been stuck and that there's the possibility that we could be the one that needs to take that agency and make a change, make a decision, take a step, it very well might be that that first step we take helps us along the way to step into what God has for us. I was with my sweet grandson yesterday, and I was holding his hand, and he was stepping across a little landscaped area that had big rocks in it. And he says, "Look, Gigi." As he gently stepped on the next rock, he says, "Look, Gigi, I'm just checking to see if it's wiggly or not." And I told him, I said, "You know what? That is just like life. We want to know that that next step is secure. And it's so important that it is. We do need to spend our time and make sure it's a safe next step. But we also don't want to stay stuck if it's the step we're supposed to take. So lean into that. Be curious and discover what it is that God's leading you to do. For it very well may be that that next step is the step you need. If you've stayed in a self-protective mode for too long and you feel like you are ruminating, maybe, or you're simply exhausted from managing all the things you manage, try to use this perspective and reconsider what God may have next for you. Be kind to yourself. Don't shame yourself if this is you. Recognize that maybe you had to do these things to survive. Maybe you've been in survival mode. It's okay. Everyone is at some point or another. There's a lot of talk these days about trauma, big T and little t trauma, but ultimately trauma is just defined as something that is difficult for us to process. And we all have that on some level at different times throughout life. But as we learn, even if we do feel like a beginner learning it, to process those things, to take those steps, to step into what God has next for us, even if that next step feels a little bit wiggly, it's okay. Be kind to yourself. Even if you felt like you got some things wrong, forgive yourself. Be willing to step forward. Be willing to live as your truest self. If this episode resonates with you, I want to invite you to come and join us in the Hope Collective, where we work through all the things that might be keeping us stuck. We work towards goals. We cheer each other on. We rejoice together as we step into all that God has for us. You can reach out through the show notes below.